So as we go along, let me tell you a little bit about the course of the program. As you know, at the Israel Conference, we are known for rapidly going through markets and talking about companies. We intersperse every panel with spotlights. We intersperse it with short talks, keynotes, and discussions so that you can get the most out of your day here at the Israel Conference. Something very important is happening in California. In California, as you know, the governor asked us all to stop watering our lawns. How many of you have stopped watering your lawns? I know I have. In my lawn, I've planted cactuses like the ones in the centerpieces there, and we've pretty much reduced our water consumption. Not the length of time in the shower, of course, but the amount of water that we put into the gardens. And the curious thing is that we are living next to one of the largest bodies of water in the world, and yet we don't have the ability to use all that water, except that a cute little Israeli company that's not so little, very large, and very expert in desalination has come along and is working with a great company to start one project and then keep moving across California, a project in San Diego to desalinize water and create an abundancy of water. So we're calling our next session, Hold the Salt, the Abundancy of Water. And we're very excited to have the representative of Poseidon Water here who is running the project. It's a $1 billion project. And right in the center of that project is Poseidon as the project managers and the company called IDE, which is the technology to help implement the desalination. So you're going to learn a lot about what's affecting California and the world and the solutions that are brought to you by very smart business people who are bringing in an Israeli technology to solve for our water problem. With that, I'd like to invite up Peter McLaughlin to talk to us a little bit about Poseidon Water. Thank you. And thank you for coming out today. Pleasure.
Rona, thank you very much. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. The theme of this conference, from the shores of the Mediterranean to the shores of the Pacific, are very fitting for what I have to share with you this morning. It was 15 years ago when Israel first got its first sources of supply from the Mediterranean of any significant amount. And today, roughly half of that country's water supply comes from the Mediterranean. A tremendous transformation that has taken pressure off of the Jordan River, other sources that are shared by neighboring countries, and taking pressure off of those competitive tensions that would otherwise be there if this new supply wasn't available. So over the same period of time, the last 15 years, the San Diego region has been looking to the Pacific Ocean for a partial solution to its challenges. And we've turned to the Israeli expertise to help shape and guide our program here in Carlsbad, about 100 miles south of here. It's a fascinating project. San Diego happens to be water challenged at the end of California's delivery systems. It was just 65 years ago that we got all of our water from within. Today, 85% of that water comes from somewhere else. Those sources from somewhere else are challenged at best, and the subject of interstate competition in the case of the Colorado River, and subject of internal California competition between agriculture, the environment, urban settings, and other uses within the state of California for our supplies from the north. So as we're experiencing with the drought here, there's a need for new sources. This isn't new. This program's been underway to lessen the dependence on outside sources, and San Diego is a world leader in conservation, water reuse, and recycling of treated wastewater, and now for desalination of the ocean. I'll share with you, I think I just blew it, hit the wrong button. Green button on the top. You guys want to hit the slides for me? Can you bring the next one up? Perfect. Thank you. So, the Carlsbad Desalination Project has been in the making for 15 years, a $1 billion investment in water supply infrastructure for San Diego County. We're located on the shores of Carlsbad next to Agua Hedionda Lagoon. This plant, when it goes online, will be the largest, most technologically advanced, and most energy efficient seawater desalination plant in the world. It's expected to go online later this year. Sometime in November, we expect, will be fully operational.
I'll take the clicker.
Thank you. And next slide, please. We have a very interesting project arrangement. This is a public-private partnership. Poseidon is the owner and operator of the plant. We have partnered with the San Diego County Water Authority, a regional water wholesaler, to purchase the entire output of the plant for the next 30 years. And then we've brought in a number of partners in terms of financing, construction, operation. I just want to focus on our partner, IDE Technologies, since the theme of the conference here is the Israeli connection and how the Israeli experience has helped us. IDE has two roles in our project structure. IDE is our technology provider, which means they have designed the process for the reverse osmosis-based seawater desalination plant, integrated all that technology, and they've supplied the equipment that will be used in this plant. It happens to be the case that IDE has some unique patented technology as to how they integrate these systems, which allows us to lay claim that when this plant goes online, it will be the most energy efficient plant of its nature in the Western Hemisphere and the largest and most technologically advanced. Thank you. This one right here? Yep. There we go. So our project setting is Agua Hedionda Lagoon, next to the Encina Power Station. You can see in the photograph here that there are intakes and outfalls that are already there serving the Encina Power Station. So we have some ready-made infrastructure, and we have another attribute at this site that makes it an important location for this type of project, which is it's an industrial zone site, and it is available for, there's land available for expansion to put this water plant in place. Here's a picture of the plant a few weeks ago. We're effectively complete in construction. You're looking at 3 steps to process the water. We bring up the seawater from Agua Hedionda Lagoon. It takes 2 gallons of seawater to make 1 gallon of fresh water, and we have to filter that water a number of times to get it clean enough to get through the reverse osmosis system. So the first thing we do is we pump 100 million gallons a day into the plant up the hill from the ocean. We run it through 2 preliminary filtration steps, and then we go through the reverse osmosis process. This is a picture of the reverse osmosis process. It is chock full of a very specialized membrane, originally patented in the 60s down in San Diego, now used throughout the world. The holes in this filter are 500,000 times smaller than the diameter of the hair on your head. So the water has to be ultra clean to get through this. You want all the impurities out. Just happens to be that the water can get through, but the salt cannot get through this material. This is enough reverse osmosis membrane to make a half a cup of water a day. We have over 1 million square feet of this material packed into these long vessels that you see on the screen. And collectively, they will produce 50 to 54 million gallons of fresh water every day. The way it works is you have these filters that are tightly wound. You run the water in the front end, and you run it through 8 filters in series. By the time you go through all of them, half of that water has been converted to fresh water. The other half is salty water, extra salty water that's returned back to the ocean. But before we return that salty water back to the ocean, we have these unique little specialty devices shown in yellow on the screen that captures the latent energy in that brine stream before it goes to the ocean and pressurizes half the water to coming into the plant, reducing the overall energy load on the plant by about 40%. And the way that works is sort of like a hybrid car. In the case of a hybrid car, you put the brakes on the car and you're charging your battery instead of moving forward. Well, here we have a pump that's pressurizing seawater to a very high pressure, pushing it through these membranes, and the salty water coming out is still under extremely high pressure, so we transfer that pressure to the next block of water coming into the plant and reduce the energy load as a result. So this is the basic configuration that IDE has put together for us in designing the plant. Here's the energy recovery devices. Once the water is desalinated, we have to add some chlorine to protect it, make sure it stays sterile all the way to the homes and businesses in San Diego County. And you can see a bank of pumps at the top of the screen that will pump it up into the regional water supply system. Here's a closer look at those pumps several months ago when they were first being installed. And then the water goes through a 10-mile long pipeline out to the regional delivery system, which is in the city of San Marcos. So we laid pipe 4.5 feet in diameter, 10 miles through 3 cities to get this water into the heart of San Diego's water distribution system. And from there, it can be delivered to virtually all of these colored patchwork areas in San Diego County. We're up near the top of the map, and you can see the blue lines of the pipelines that we're injecting this water into, so we can serve roughly 75 to 80% of San Diego County's residents with this new water supply. This is sort of a brief overview. I'll leave you some information where you can find out more about our project. I just want to share with you that through some interesting and very innovative partnerships and some lessons learned through the experience in Israel, we've been able to put forward a project that's going to be extremely successful. And one of the benefits we have here in Carlsbad is that there are 3 plants being operated in Israel that look just like this one. There's one in Ashkelon, there's one in Hadera, and there's one in Sorek. And the only difference is those 3 plants, all 3 of them are producing more than twice the water we're going to produce in Carlsbad. One of them is producing up to 120 million gallons a day, the most recent one that was built in Sorek, and it is the largest seawater desalination plant in the world. Not that there aren't others. There's 14,000 of these facilities throughout the world producing very high quality water, meeting the needs of up to 10 billion gallons of fresh water production for every conceivable use, every day, agriculture, industry, urban uses, the environmental uses. We went through a rather lengthy process because there's expertise throughout the world to do the sort of thing we were trying to do in San Diego. The Spaniards, the French, the US companies, and the Israeli companies. But at the end of the day, after a competitive process that started in 2008, we found that IDE was a great partner. And once the plant goes online, their role changes from that of the equipment supplier and designer of the facility to be our contract operator for the next 30 years. So while we're running this plant, IDE will continue to be our partner going forward. With that, I don't know if we have time for questions or not. I'm going to wrap up right there. And
If anybody has a question.
yes, sir.
Can you tell us a little bit about what's unique about this particular technology?
What's unique about it? We're rather proud of the fact that it's not unique. We have proven technology we're deploying in San Diego. We didn't want to be a risk taker. We wanted to make sure we had something that worked and was proven. What is unique about it, however, is we get the benefit of the 3 plants that were built in Israel, and one's been operating for 13 years, one for 6, and one for 2 years, and the benefit of all those lessons learned. So we're the 4th generation of that series. And the other thing that's unique is we're able to capture this patented integration configuration that IDE Technologies has exclusive rights to, and that allows us to produce water for a little bit less energy consumption than some of their competitors would have been able to accomplish.
And one last question. Stand and say your name.
So what is Poseidon's plan for future desalination plants? Is that the question? We have one other project we're working on presently, also with IDE, and that is in Huntington Beach. It's in the final stages of permitting. It looks just like Carlsbad in terms of its size and similar in design, but there's some unique characteristics at that location. So we hope to be under construction in late 2006 on that facility and have it up and operating about 3 years later. In terms of the future for San Diego County, I mentioned at the onset that 65 years ago we got all of our water from within. I think we're going right back to that in the next 65 years. You're going to see we're going to recycle every drop of water we've got flowing through our system multiple times, but there's consumptive uses. You have to make it up from somewhere, and I think we're going to be making up a lot of that water from the ocean. So this won't be the last desalination plant built in San Diego County. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Peter. This is so fascinating, and it affects us so deeply. It really gives us an insight. As lay people, we really don't understand the mechanics of desalination, so you've given us a window, a new vocabulary, and ability to appreciate what's going on, especially what Israel's contributing to California. Thank you. I want to give you something as a thank you for coming by. I'll show you all a little later, but this is a cartoon that's emblematic of Israel. It's a running commentary, and it's called Dosh, and it's our way of thanking you for coming to speak. Thank you very much, Peter. Pleasure. Thanks.